So, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakallah khairan, everyone, for joining this month's podcast. And today I have with me Fahima Mahomed. Before we go into our interview, Sister Fahima, would you be able to introduce yourself?
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much, Ahmed, for having me today. Yes, I am nicheless and I do various things. When I am on a platform, I'm not affiliated to any particular industry or any sort of group or any organization. I'm invited on various platforms to speak about social issues, and it does cover a lot of issues which is in the news currently as well. And behind the scenes, I'm an academic where I help individuals transform, and I am here as an everyday person, just hoping to help better people's lives and transform them in the best way I can possible. So that's me in a nutshell.
Awesome. And obviously, the issue on every Muslim's mind right now is what is going on in Palestine. And you've done something amazing. You've stepped up and are trying to, well, actually, let's get straight into the interview. Um, you have picked four targets that you want to try and take to court, basically, in a nutshell. So, who are these four individuals? Why did you pick them? What was your criteria? What were you thinking? And is there anyone who's not on the list? Is there anyone you made a deliberate decision? Okay, they're not going to be in these four, they're not these four targeted individuals.
Well, firstly, let's give it some context. We have been seeing things unfolding since October the 7th with regards to, Israel and Palestine issue, as been said in the news. And because of that, a lot of things have unfolded with regards to the sort of like, the comeback that we've had from the actual sort of like 7th of October. And with that, we've had individuals speak up, and we do not condone any atrocity. However, I've always said that we have to uphold law and order. And we live in the West, as from wherever we come from originally, or even born here, in this actual Western country in Europe or wherever it may be, because we are told constantly that they have that sort of link to having those values and upholding law in the correct form, especially when it comes to comparison in countries like the West compared to the East, for example. So it just really surprised me. I mean, this obviously has been going on for decades. And I myself only felt that I was able to be confident enough to speak out for once, which I haven't before, even though it did always touched me when things like this atrocities happen. But this time, I'm the kind of person anyway that, as many people are doing so many wonderful things out there, whether it's demonstration or speaking and calling things out, there's many people silent. And the ones that are speaking, which represent the UK, it is really alarming to know what they are saying and the repercussions of that. So when we picked these four individuals, Keir Starmer and Emily Thornberry, as well as Ben Shapiro and Jordan Peterson, it was at the forefront that they do have an amazing following and they have an influence. So whatever they do say will actually, make a difference to however things are received. Whatever happens outside this country, and especially with what's happening now, is a ripple effect on individuals on the street. And I represent every individual that there is out there today. And it is alarming to know, especially as a Muslim woman who carries the flag on, my head, and so several others do, that we are going out there and being deemed in a particular way, misrepresented again, and being seen for, just trying to uphold the values that all British people uphold and
Mm.
sort of want to do. So that's why we picked on that, because that went viral when several times these individuals, especially Keir Starmer, was asked, especially on the interview on LBC. And by the way, I'm just paraphrasing, all of these details are correct in my sort of like GoFundMe page with the letters that have been instructed by our solicitors, Cloud Law.
Mm.
And all of the details are there to show what exactly has been said. And in my opinion, this should be taken forward for
Mm.
further exploration and investigation so that things like this that has a detrimental effect on everyday people, comes to light, so that we don't make the same mistakes that we've seen not so far along in history with different countries like the Iraq War and things like that. And then we don't want to repeat that. And also everyday lives are being lost. As of today, we are counting more than 4,000 or 5,000 people, and a quarter or half of that is children in Gaza that have been actually killed. And it's really something that nobody is now speaking softly about. So I am one of those people, if anyone knows me personally, that I like to take action and make a difference and make a stand. And I'll do it with my name and my face, and I'm not hiding. And I'm there, trying to do something where I think a lot of us do feel, whether we are doing it in whichever way we can. Like I said, I have just been blessed to be given a team to support and take me further on this journey. And I'm just hoping that we can actually explore this, so that if anyone is held accountable, then it should definitely be taken further.
And really, like, we live in a time where we're so used to anything on social media, whether it's pranks or whether it's serious political statements, going viral, catching the attention of millions, and no one's held to account for them if they're lies or if they're hurtful or if they're harmful. And what you're doing here, I believe, is creating a new normal where Muslims in particular, who feel like we're bearing the brunt of a lot of policies which are Islamophobic, let alone, harmful for Palestine. This can be a new normal where people cannot just say anything that they want and lead to the harm of millions of people who aren't even in this country. So you've also mentioned in your GoFundMe page that your total list of targets may be 8 to 12 people. So you've named 4. Are you able to divulge who the next 4 to 8 may be, or is there a strategy where you need to keep your cards close to your chest?
It is something that we want to take forward, obviously, in time. And again, under the instruction of my legal team, we are going to take it further if this does come to light, where it is going to be a process where it is going to be explored, because there are definitely other individuals that hold the same spotlight with the same narrative. And yeah, no one's going to be taken lightly, and everyone will be called out for that. And it starts as a pyramid where it is those sort of figures on top, but then we also get people that are reporters or journalists, and we've got people that have huge followings and influences and even represent on certain mainstream TV, who are just inciting hate for people that are just coming out to demonstrate and putting them under one banner of terrorist supporters. And that is really alarming as well. And, I just think the narrative right now is really, really dangerous for everyday people. And it's not just Muslims, even though we are at the forefront of it, because there's a huge amount of support across the sort of like country in the UK for this cause. So we're here to represent those people, and we're here to make sure that, their voices are taken to the next step with regards to the demonstrations, and actually, making those people held account, and also understand the detrimental voice that is out there. And it is a responsibility when you are of a certain caliber, status, or holding a platform where you are talking to so many people, and one statement can make such a difference, as we've seen. And I know certain spaces are there to have that kind of sort of free speech, but even with that, there's responsibility, consequences for it. And we are going to come hard with legal backing. And I'm not there to just like do this, keyboard warrior style without any sort of face or legal backing, or even, hiding behind anything. When I speak fully with, full conviction, where everyone knows who I am and what I'm doing. And I'm coming at you because this is just not right. And I'm a very small person with a very small voice. But again, like I said before, with a sharp tongue, to make sure that people uphold what they themselves stand for, what the country and what the laws are around us that stand for. And if you have your own bias, and if you have your own agendas, then again, it should still be in accordance to what Britain stands for, and that is an international law when it comes to the countries involved, the allies, and people that are inciting things that is dangerous for people across the globe, as well as here in the UK.
And I think that what you've explained, I fully agree with. And strategically, yeah, you don't really have to unveil the whole full 8 to 12 list right now, because unfortunately there are more than 12 people around the country who have been pretty much goading Israel on, or giving them a green light, or however you want to phrase it, basically being an ally of what looks to be genocide. And I can imagine as your campaign work goes on, there will be more people who will probably try to emulate your example on a much more local micro level as well. Because, you know, if Keir Starmer can be taken to court, why can't your local Labour or any other party councillor on your local level, if their vitriolic support for Israel is also excusing genocide, just like Starmer's words are doing? So, you know, we're still in the early stages, and, you know, things could go either way in terms of the cases following through, the cases winning, the cases not following through. But is this one of those situations where just doing this in such a public manner, in such an important time, could this be a win-win situation either way?
I'm not understanding what it means to win-win, because especially with what's happening right now,
Mm,
for me, it's more about awareness
mm,
and responsibility and accountability. And I know that recently there's been a lot of backtracking on certain things that have been said. So I guess that,
mm,
it has already trickled to the point where they've realized that, what, actually, what we did say, we need to clarify and give it context.
mm,
It doesn't matter even if it's now, but in between that time from when it was said, atrocities have happened and lots of lives has been lost, and people need to learn. And I'm not doing anything that is not within the law of the land, and it is the law of this country that I'm going to be doing things, and I'm going to be doing things in the way that it should be done. So people need to understand, if you want to take things seriously, then you got to do that in that particular way. And I'm tired of all this, people talking back and forth on
mm,
certain digital platforms, and it's just fighting because you've got no time, or to do anything else, and just sit there. Whereas, with me, I'm more about, let's just do something which is concrete, so that if anyone else wants to, come on board and support, or if they're on the other side, no problem. Because, the battles I sort of fight are the ones for humans at the end of the day, for us all to have that sort of way of being where we are all seen as valuable, and there's no bias and there's no unfairness, and it's upholding the law that is for everyone. And if there are any other rhetorics, and if there are any sort of stories out there to go against that, then they will be clearly seen for it, because it's a privilege to have a sort of platform. It's a privilege to speak. It's a privilege to have those kind of people following you. And with that, I'm sorry, there needs to be accountability for what you put out
mm.
and what is the effects of it. So I'm just trying to say, we need to think a little bit more closer to heart when we're saying things, because it does affect people like me and you and everyone else on the street. And that's what I'm sort of representing, is those people that are walking on the streets and feeling that they are intimidated, or they're misrepresented, or they're stigmatized and demonized. And it's just something that we really have to take action now, and that's what I'm doing. And it doesn't matter about the end result, but I will always go out being present and doing the best that I can, because that's what I live by, is my values and my beliefs. And if it goes against that, then, again, I'm just going to stand there fighting, and hopefully with support from everyday people in the UK, to have that sort of like backing would be absolutely amazing. So go to my GoFund page, a campaign, and just start, sharing, to be honest.
And there will be a link to that in the description, wherever it is around the video. Um, but yeah, in terms of the level of support that your campaign has drawn so far, and that it is going to draw, that just by itself is a message to those who, who make these comments and make these alliances and so on, and the support for Israel's genocide of Gaza. Um, and that in itself is a win in the process of winning the case, inshallah. So that's kind of what I meant by win-win, just by going through the process of this campaign. Inshallah, there'll be victory at the other end, one way or another, just by setting an example and galvanizing people around, elevating their voice in this manner, taking these people to court. So in the best case scenario, what would happen to your targets if your case wins?
That would be something that I would like to find out myself when that does happen, because again, even since the Iraq war, nothing has been held accountable, and we're still waiting for sort of results of, for the ICC to actually condemn sort of Iraq war, even though a lot of the evidence points towards it. So it is obviously slightly different in this case, and obviously it's present, and people are a lot more alert and also experienced from the last scenario that happened. So, a few years on, we hopefully will have sort of action in place, and these people could actually, be accountable and maybe even arrested for incitement. I am not sure of the outcome. I'm not sure how far this can go. But again, there is a responsibility to show that there is an outrage of the British public. And there are legal ways to affect behavior for our politicians or anyone, who does see themselves in a particular platform where which their choices are often limited, but we have that sort of right to fulfill things in the sort of ways that is legal. And we want to do that so that we can actually see outcomes which will benefit the entire population, and especially the people that are suffering across the globe, in Gaza especially. And, our hearts go out to them. But at the same time, we have to do something more than just, do these journalistic reports and even songs, or, which most of them probably don't even go to the proceeds. We need to do more to call people on the top who make these policies, who even have opportunities to run our country in the future, to show that they are of leadership skills and influence in the right way, so that when moving forward, we can be confident and comfortable to have them lead the way, especially in the case of Keir Starmer.
I think that's a great point you make there. Like as voters, as citizens, and so on, like Muslims, we're showing through campaigns like this and other ways that we're not here to be taken for granted. We're not here to be used and abused for whatever political ends, whether it's for individuals or parties or foreign policies and so on. We're not here for that, and we're not going to allow ourselves to be used in that way. And we will use every tool that we have a right as citizens to use. So I think that is ultimately a victory, what could be a victory, if the Muslim community, if we choose to maintain that momentum, which we've been working very rapidly to build up over the past few weeks. So as we come to a close in this conversation, how much further remains to reach your goal, and how can people support you? And can charity, and sort of like an addendum to that, as this campaign grabs a lot of people's attentions and also a lot of, I can imagine, institutions' attentions, can charities like mosques donate without being hassled by the Charity Commission? Any of your thoughts on any of that?
I'm just here to sort of, represent everyday people, and whoever wants to support, they can show their support, and they have to do their own due diligence with regards to what they can and cannot do. I'm not responsible for that. I'm
Fair
just
point.
here sharing a message and creating awareness, and most importantly, to show that not everyone in the West is blindly pro-genocidal as it seems to be projected in the mainstream media. And our financial target is not far away. And I just think if we, look at the GoFundMe campaign, everything is very transparent, and read the letters, read the sort of like ideas that's behind it so far. I'm trying to give as many updates as I can, and I will continue to do so. I am widely available. I don't have a huge following. I'm not a very big voice, or I'm not an influencer in any way possible. All I know is I'm just doing that any human person would do that has any sort of level and foundation of moral values and beliefs, and it's from faith or no faith. So there are people that are coming and reaching out to me regardless of, their background or anything like that. And they do actually feel very close to this cause to make a difference. And that's what I'm trying to do, and transform that into something where we can now be more responsible and not take for granted our sort of positions of power and abuse it instead of using it for the public, because we are in a democratic state. We are here with following the rules and the laws and abiding by it as citizens. And we are just trying to make sure that everybody else is on top or the bottom or the middle doing exactly the same, and it does not exclude anybody. And that's what the message is. So please go on the GoFundMe page, follow, share, and if you can donate, we really appreciate it. But most importantly, to spread the message.
And one final question, just to add to that, what is the minimum donation on the GoFundMe platform? Would it be £1?
Actually, I don't know of the minimum sort of thing, but I think you can try. I know people have donated £5 at least. So honestly, every little helps. And like I said, it's the more you share, it's the volume of that's most important, and it all adds up. But yeah, you can always try and see the minimum. That's a very good question, actually, one for my team to put forward. And on top of that, like I said, it's more about sharing the awareness, and hopefully whoever can, contribute would be greatly appreciated. But it's more about also educating ourselves on what's happening out there and getting the real truth. And there's so many different digital platforms out there to actually gain news. Make sure you understand that very well, and don't just follow one particular sort of social media platform when it comes to getting your information, so that you can have a variety of perspectives and use your own mind. And I'm so much in sort of awe in people understanding that even over time, when they've had one extreme view, that now they've become balanced and understand the truth and the facts. So go out there and look. And if you need any assistance, then please do contact me as well.
Thank you for your time. Jazakallah khairan, Sister Fahima. So another way of looking at this campaign is perhaps like a petition with a punch. I can imagine, I've seen petitions garner tens of thousands, even 100,000 responses when it's to do with the Palestine cause. So I can imagine if your campaign reaches tens of thousands, even 100,000 donors giving small donations, that volume of donors is in itself a sign of just how much of the public is disgusted with the individuals you've named. And really, how many opportunities do we have to take the leader of a party and senior members of his party to court? So on that basis, take this chance, take this opportunity, join this campaign, inshallah. And just before we end, Sister Fahima, where can people find you online? Where can people follow you and get updates on this campaign directly from you?
Go to the GoFundMe sort of like campaign and website, and Fahima Mahomed, my name. And if you Google or go to any sort of media platform, you will find me there. I'm easily available. And on the actual page, you'll have my email address. And again, all the details are on the page for you to view with complete transparency, so you have confidence as to what you're supporting and contributing towards.
Jazakallah khairan for your time. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.